Okay, welcome you guys to another episode of the Mili Llama podcast. Mili Llama podcast is where athletes, parents, and everybody in between talk about the highs and lows of recruiting, what they might have done differently, would they have changed anything, and overall what helped these student athletes get to their ultimate goal of committing to a school and playing a college sport of their choice. And today I have Izzy Lee, who is a softball player, and tell the people where you are committed to.
University of North Texas.
University of North Texas as a pitcher, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. And I'll kind of start off. When did you realize that playing in college is 100% what you wanted to do? Was it from basically, little league, or was it at a certain time throughout high school? When exactly was that moment for you?
Um, I think it's been a goal of mine since I was younger. Probably like at probably like my second year of travel ball when like the coaches started to like see that I had the potential and everybody was like, you have the look because I'm so
Yeah.
tall and lanky
Yeah.
and they know that like I have that D1 look as you people would say, but like
Yeah.
once I figured out that people like believed in me and like they knew that they saw what I had, I think
Yeah.
that kind of made me believe in myself to get to that goal.
Okay. Okay, I like that. So it was a mix of you knew you had what it took, but also the people that I guess are the quote unquote experts were also saying that they could tell you had what you needed to play at the next level.
Yes.
Okay. And when did you end up committing to North Texas? How was the recruiting process for you?
Um, I was talking to them for a good bit. Um, I at the beginning, North Texas wasn't like the main school I was looking at, and I think I overlooked them because I was looking like too big and I wasn't really focused on what I actually wanted. I was thinking of just softball and like how everybody was ranked and all that different stuff. And I wasn't really thinking about the college specifically and like what I want to do and like how the teams are based, like the team chemistry and everything like that. But once I went to like more camps, talked to the coaches and everything like that, I realized that those are the people that I want to be around. And then the campus, it was perfect and they had exactly what I wanted to do with my education, and it kind of just all fell in place.
Okay. Okay, awesome. So you are a junior, correct?
Yes.
So I know especially now the recruiting rules have changed, but a lot of people aren't committing until their senior year, whether that's because they just feel like they need more time, or maybe the offers don't start rolling in until later. Being committed kind of early, how does that feel? Is there a little bit more added pressure, that you're in high school and a junior, and people probably already know who you are, or do you view it that way at all?
Um, I think committing early kind of took a lot of the pressure off because of how stressful the recruiting process is and
Right.
having to send so many emails, recording every single thing you do. But at the same time, having to focus on being able to keep that scholarship and keep pushing and all the expectations people have on you because you're a D1 pitcher, you should be doing better, or you should, this is like what you're supposed to do. Like, I feel like it's a lot of pressure having that title, but I
Right.
feel that committing this early was probably the best thing for me.
Okay. With when it comes to recruiting, a lot of people think that everything is linear. They think that as soon as you're in ninth grade that you're going to be the best, and then 10th and 11th grade you'll have the pick of your school, and then senior year you sign. Talk about some parts of the recruiting process that might be confusing, specifically for you, that might have been confusing at first, and any frustrating parts of the recruiting process from what you remember.
Um, I think some of the most frustrating parts of the recruiting process was just remembering to stay on top of sending emails and videos because I feel like
Mhm.
you can get really sidetracked on different things. Like you have different things outside of softball that's going on, and you're practicing, but oh, you forget to record. You don't know what to send, or like you kind of forget what you should even say to the coaches, and it can get really repetitive and you don't want to feel, or I feel like I sent a lot of repetitive emails just saying, hi, I'm Izzy, this is what I can do, and all this stuff, rather than actually like engaging with them. Because especially before September 1st, so they can't really talk back to you, so you can't have a real conversation over email. So you kind of get lost on what to say. But I feel like you just have to keep saying stuff that helps them learn about you, rather than just saying, this is what I can offer you and that's all. Like, I think you need to really engage and explain who you are, rather
Mhm.
than just like what you can do.
Right. So when you say really engage, you're saying trying to, in a way, I guess, build some type of rapport or some type of, relationship with these people, because people will always tell you, okay, um put your name, height, weight, class, and everything, but like you said, that seems really repetitive, really generic. So what were, if you don't mind, what were a few like specifics kind of what you would put, obviously you're committed now, but like if somebody watching, like what's something good to you say would go in like an email or a letter or something along those lines?
My subject line was always my first and last name, my grad year, and my position.
Yeah.
And that was literally every single email. That was my subject line. Um, and I think every single time I told them how fast I was throwing, what pitches I've been working on that week, or whatever I was like, different things I was practicing. Um, I was pretty clear or pretty transparent on like how my games were going, like what pitches I was using, and how I was attacking batters at the time. But I think your grad year, um, speed, height, um, and even like extracurriculars, like so that they can
Mm,
learn more about you,
yeah.
rather than just softball, softball, softball. Telling them that you have like other things that you like to do, and like different school clubs. Like, it helps them know that you can manage your time well and you'll be successful in college.
Okay. Yeah, that's a huge point there. Schools, coaches, recruiters, they love to see your well-rounded kids. So obviously, if you're a top-ranked player, of course the school will still want you, but you're more marketable to more schools when, like you said, you play softball, you might be in different clubs, you might be, who knows, class president or something like that. That's something that these coaches know, okay, these kids can manage their time, because um college, you have to be able to manage your time. You have practices, you have games, you have travel, treatment, like film. You have so many different things. So now when a coach sees this kid who's 16, 17 years old and sees that they're doing more than, in your case, softball, okay, they're more apt to maybe want to pull that offer, give you that offer, and pull the trigger a little bit earlier.
Hmm.
So I love how you talked about that. So how was your training before you committed, as far as nutrition, strength, and all that? And has it changed since you committed, or have you kind of just done somewhat the same thing because it's been working for you?
I would say earlier in the recruiting process, I wasn't as strict with my training and nutrition and like that. And I'm still honestly not very strict with my nutrition. But
Mhm.
I know that once I get into college, they'll be able to help me with that. Um, I'm getting more and more into like um, training and things like that, because I've learned that you can't just pitch every single day and just expect everything just be fine. You have to be able to um, train other things like lifting and speed and agilities and things like that. Because it's not just all pitching, pitching, pitching. You have to train your muscles and get stronger every day as well.
Okay. Um, so when you talked about it's not just pitching, it's not just going out there and playing, um, was there ever a time throughout the season where you figure like, okay, maybe I need to intensify the training a little bit more, or was that something you realized like, okay, I'm about to go to a Division 1 school, it's going to get a little bit more serious? Is that when you noticed it, or was it more of just throughout the grind of the season, you realize, okay, maybe I need to tweak something here and there?
I think it was mostly throughout the season.
Hmm.
Obviously, I know once I get to college, it's going to get harder and I need to be able to be prepared for that. But I think throughout the season, as I started to struggle or different things like that, I realized like maybe I'm not working hard enough. Maybe I'm just doing the bare minimum of just pitching and not doing all the things a full athlete should be doing.
So when, like I said, you're obviously have great talent if you're, committed to Division 1 school. Well, has there ever been a time since you've been committed to where people try and doubt you, or you might doubt yourself? Because we might have touched on this a little bit earlier, but I kind of want to reiterate because a lot of people think that once a player is committed to a Division 1 school, that they should never mess up or that they should never have a bad game. So how do you deal with things like that to where a lot of people, more people know who you are, or have you already had to deal with it, or has it? Uh, what tips do you have for people that might be in your shoes?
To be honest, it's been happening a lot more recently with high school ball. Um, with high school season, people are a lot more opinionated and a lot more um,
Expectations.
yeah, very everybody has expectations for every person and there's a lot of comparison between every single person because everybody starts to get to know each other and I feel like everybody kind of just thinks, oh, she thinks she's she's D1, so she thinks that she just has this title and she doesn't have to work as hard anymore. And I think you have to be able to keep the mindset that you have gotten this far throughout all that grinding and you still have a year and a half to go until you even get to college and you still have so much more to grow and you should be able to push through all of the doubts that people have and use those more as fuel rather than just getting taken down by every word that is said.
Oh yeah, yeah. It's not an easy thing to deal with, especially now because social media is just growing. So every pitch you throw, every outing you have, it's all somebody has it documented, somebody's recording it, and good or bad, somebody wants to post it. If you somebody gets a hit off of you, they want to post it. If you're a hitter, somebody strikes you out, they can't wait to post it. And they realize everything's just on social media, and it can be hard to kind of block that out. But I like how you said you use it as fuel, and you kind of block out the the negative from just seeping in, and then when you do hear the negative, you use it as fuel. So I love how you explained that. Um, so when it comes to recruiting, what are some tips you would tell people to just be able to be more proactive? Maybe some things to look out for when it comes to the whole recruiting process, from visits to offers to picking schools, just the whole broad aspect of recruiting. What are some tips you would have for softball girls in your
So
shoes?
So from the beginning, I would say social media is a big thing. Twitter or X is like a really big thing because when you tag those coaches, that's automatically makes them look at it. Coaches will just scroll through all their tags, look at every single thing, and I've seen coaches actually do that. And all those emails, they actually do read them. So I would say social media and emails are really big. And it's okay to tag a lot of coaches on like a post because you want to get seen. It shouldn't be seen as, oh, she's just fishing for all these people. I think it's really important to tag all these people so that they see your name so many different times. You should want them to remember your name, even though it might seem like, oh, you might be annoying them, but they'll remember your name. They'll see your talent. They'll see your dedication to wanting to get recruited. And then also, I would say getting out to camps is a really big thing because that not only gets you seen more, but also helps you figure out the environment that you're around. So you'll meet the coaches, you'll figure out how they work practices, like if they get involved, if they kind of sit back and just like let you do your own thing,
Yeah,
kind of figure out. And a lot of the times, like some of the players are there too, and you'll kind of get to meet with them to see how the team dynamic is and
yeah,
everything like that. And then also in those camps, a lot of the time they do like little campus tours. Or even if they don't do campus tours, you can go with your parents, just drive around the campus, figure out if
Mhm.
that's like you see yourself there in general, and
Yeah.
researching, figuring out if that school has a major that will help you in the future in whatever job you want to do. And I think me and my mom both found this thing called like the broken leg. What is it? The broken leg test. And it's like basically, if you were to get injured, would you still be happy at that school?
Yep.
Without my
Yeah.
100%.
sport.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Would you be happy walking around that campus? Would you just be like, oh, dang, this school's like not as nice as I thought? And you're so focused on the athletic program and all this stuff. You should be able to be happy at that campus without just the softball aspect in it.
Yeah, that's so huge because obviously softball will take up majority of your time, but there's still other things you have to do. You still have to go to the dining halls and eat. You still have to go to class. You still have to be in that city. So that's something a lot of people I feel like don't just take into account is college is a really fun 4 years, and you want to enjoy more than just the softball aspect. Like, obviously, you'll enjoy that because you love softball, but you want to enjoy the entire college experience for, maybe basketball, baseball, football games. You got, like you said, different clubs. You got just all these different opportunities in college. And a lot of people get so set on, okay, this is my coach and this is the facility I'm gonna be in, and this is my dorm, but they forget the whole aspect of what college is. I love how you talked about that. And a big thing also, like you said, is going to watch these people practice, because that's the practice schedule and format probably won't change as long as the same coaches are there. The practice format and schedule probably doesn't change very much at all. So you get to actually go in and see, okay, this is what I'll be doing as a pitcher. This is what I'll be doing as an infielder. And also, like you said, with just seeing the different players, and with social media now, you can literally go on Twitter or X or Instagram, whatever, and like DM the players and ask them different questions and see like, hey, how does this process go? Or what do you think about this move right here? And it's just so many, especially now in 2026, there's so many more opportunities to just really dive deep into what your school, which is the University of North Texas, has to offer. So I love that.
Mm-hmm.
So, what about college softball are you most looking forward to?
I think building relationships and just living out the dream that I've been dreaming about for a while,
Mhm.
being on that big stage of people watching, little kids watching, inspiring others to get to that stage, because at one point I was that little kid watching, wanting to be them, wanting to be that older girl on the field. And I think just like inspiring others, being able to use my sport to just like shine a light and just kind of spread that it's possible, and if you work hard enough even throughout all those struggles that you can get there.
Mhm. 100%. So with scholarships, there's a lot of things that go into scholarships, but one big thing that goes into it, not just athletics, is academics. Talk a little bit about how important grades are when getting recruited, and how that overall can help you be, like I've said before in this video, a little bit more marketable.
um so not I think a lot of people just think, oh, my talent will pay for all my college, like I don't have to deal with academics and things like that. But you're not going to get a full ride scholarship. Not every player is going to get a full ride scholarship. That's not just going to carry you throughout the thing. Your coaches are going to want you to apply for those academic scholarships, and you want to be able to get those so you don't go into student debt and things like that.
Right.
And there's like a minimum GPA for the NCAA eligibility that you have to reach, and if you don't reach that, then you're not eligible to be a D1 athlete. You have to be able to keep that GPA up. You have to be taking certain courses. In a lot of counselors can talk to you about that, but you have to take certain courses to stay eligible and have those certain credits,
Yeah.
and you have to be able to pass those classes. And when coaches see that you keep those high grades like that, they know that you're able to balance your busy high school schedule, travel schedule, practice schedule, all of that, balancing that with academics and being able to
Mhm.
stay on top of that.
But I
Yeah,
think
so
I
I'm
think
sorry.
sorry, with with having good grades, the more academic scholarship you're able to get, that's less pressure on the coaches to have to come up
Yeah,
with athletic money as well.
exactly. Exactly. That's another big point too, because coaches, I'll say all the time, coaches like to be cheap. They don't want to spend money if they don't have to. So if they have a player with great talent, but they're also not saying you have to have a 4.5, but you also have really good grades, that's they want you even more now. And now you go in as a person, like you said, who the coach are like, hey, we can trust you. That's a big thing in college sports is just overall trust. Not always about are you the best player, but can they trust you to be to practice on time? Can they trust that you'll be academically eligible? Um, all 4 years, and can they trust that they will get your best? That's really the three things in college sports that these coaches look for. Obviously, talent, that's a no-brainer. Like you wouldn't have the offer if you didn't have the talent, but it's everything else when everybody's kind of even when you get to college that kind of helps you get that edge. And as far as I'm sure you play travel softball, uh
Mhm.
you play high school softball. So what and also you have good academics. So what do you do, or what are some things that you've put in place or implemented that helps you stay on top of everything? Being a future Division 1 athlete, keeping your grades up, having social life. What are some things that help you just keep all those things in order?
Um, Personally, our whole family has this big giant calendar with like every single thing written down because I
Okay.
also have a little sister that plays club volleyball too. So it's a very complicated schedule that we have to work
Okay.
with. So we really keep everything written down. We have to keep every single time slot. Like my weekly schedule, I have practice or a game or lessons, or I also give lessons too. So
Okay.
it's a lot of time management, just keeping hourly slots for everything that you do and just being able to still even get good sleep at night. You shouldn't have to stay up until 1 a.m. doing your homework every night. You should be able to kind of manage your time, especially like in school. A lot of people have like study hall, and I think they don't take advantage of the extra time they have, like the 10 minutes after class that teacher might let you have. Like I think you really need to take advantage of those little tiny times that you get during the day that you could just like be slacking off, scrolling on your phone or whatever. I think you have to take advantage of those to get things done so you can actually sleep at night.
Oh yeah, taking advantage of every second, every minute you have because they add up. If you have take advantage of 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes there, that's 30 minutes worth of work that you don't
Mhm.
have to worry about on the back end of your day. So yeah, time management and just like you said, writing things down, having a plan. Even I tell people all the time, you don't even have to have the best plan. You don't have to have the best plan, but having a plan is better than no plan. So as long as you have something in place that helps you, that's all that matters. So looking into the whole aspect of what you've been doing, what are some things that going back a year ago that you might have done different leading up to this point?
um, I think I going back to like the training and things like that. I think I didn't go as hard as I should have and could
Mhm.
have, and with the ability that I had and the talent I had, I kind of settled for that, I feel like. And I just was like, "Oh, I'm good enough how I am. There's no reason to change it." But I think that I could have been where I am right now a lot sooner because I think the strength that if I kept lifting and doing extra spins and things like that, I feel like I would be even better than I am now. And I think I'm taking advantage of all the days that I have. I'm practicing a lot more than I even used to. And I think with all that pressure of what college am I going to go to, is are these coaches going to want me, all this stuff, I think it kind of built up and kind of made me have a mental block almost.
Yeah.
And with all that stress, I was just like, I guess wherever I am now, I just, whatever the coaches want from me now, I guess that's just where I'm going to have to be.
Hmm.
And I didn't really look to the future on what I could have. And I think if I was a little bit more confident in myself and even more driven, I feel like I'm a very driven athlete. I was always driven to
Yeah.
do extra pitching, all that stuff. But I think I could have been even more driven, and I wouldn't say I regret that because I'm very happy with where I am now. But I think I would have been even more successful like freshman and sophomore year in high school.
Yeah. Well, yeah. There's always things that, looking back, we know we could have done, maybe not even necessarily better, but there's always things we know we could have done different. But
Mhm.
you're on the right track. Whereas you know what you I can't say mistakes because you're at a Division 1 school. You're committed to Division 1 school, so I'm not going to use the word mistakes, but just things you would have altered. Because that's just a part of growing up and getting more experience, not in just in softball, but with life. I know, like, I play college baseball, and I know I'm 23, and I know I would have done things different even at 20 than I'm doing now. So it's life is just a constant game of adjustments, just like softball is. But what you've been doing is nothing short of amazing. I'm excited to see where you go overall.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. Now I'll move over to mom. So Mrs. Lee, how when did you realize that she had college potential? I know I talked about when she realized it and some of her coaches, but did you know a little bit earlier than everybody else that she had what it took?
I mean, I think I knew when she was. It was probably towards the end of 10U, I guess,
Yeah.
when she first started taking pitching lessons, and I mean, she picked it up so fast,
Hmm.
and she just she just started dominating. As soon as she
Yeah.
realized what she was doing, it was like, okay, this kid's actually really good at this.
Hmm.
And it was always trying to just foster the love of the game, and we always gave her the option, hey, do you want to keep doing this? And it was never a question of yes or no. It was, why are you even asking me that? Of course I
Yeah.
do. And so we would watch college softball on TV, and I'd say,
Hmm.
is that something you want to do? And she was very, very adamant. Yes. She
Yeah.
said, I'm going to be on TV. I'm
Hmm.
going to the World Series. I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, obviously, as mom, I'm a little biased, and I think that
Hmm.
she's, amazing and wonderful and the best player ever. But, you know, she definitely showed that she had that potential from a young age.
Okay. So yeah. So getting more into the recruiting aspect, like you knew from a young age, okay, she probably will get to where she wants to go. But from a recruiting aspect, did you ever have a certain timeline in your head to where, like, she'll probably have an offer by then and she'll commit by here, or were you kind of just more of we're just going to work hard and go with the flow of how things move?
So, probably about seventh grade, when she was in
Yeah.
seventh grade, I bought a book all about recruiting because I had
Yeah.
no idea what I was doing. I
Uh-huh.
thought, okay, I mean, how do we even get this kid started on this?
Hmm.
And so I read that book. I made her read that book. She was not a fan. She's not a big reader, but
Yeah.
she did read it. And that was where we learned about the broken leg test. And
Yep.
from there, I did a little bit more research, and I started figuring some things out. Um, and probably the what middle of eighth grade, you started sending some emails out,
Mhm.
and got our first invite to a D2 school for a camp,
Mhm.
which ironically was also in Denton, but
Okay.
that was clearly not what where she was going to end up. But it's ironic that her very first foray into the recruiting and camps and whatnot is in the same town where she ended up.
Yeah. Okay. Man, that is ironic. That's crazy. It's crazy how life works. It's definitely crazy how life works. So when you
Yep.
talked about you bought a book and you had no clue about recruiting and things like that, what were some of your, obviously you didn't know much at all, but what were some of like your biggest concerns as a parent for your daughter with recruiting? What were the major question marks you had or major concerns?
how do we get these coaches to see this kid?
Hmm.
Because I knew what I saw and I knew what her coaches were telling me, but I didn't know how to get her in front of the coaches that, you know, held her future,
Hmm.
so to speak. So that was kind of the big thing was, when do we start putting her in front of them? When,
Yeah.
how does this all work? Because, you know, there's so many softball players in the whole country
Yeah.
that the likelihood of just being discovered is slim to none. And
So.
just, I mean, it's just the numbers don't make it possible almost. So there's definitely work that had to be done ahead of time. And I'm glad that we started early and learning about it in seventh grade and eighth grade because it worked out. Because, you know, if you wait until junior year, you're behind
Oh yeah.
significantly.
Right.
So, um, earlier you had mentioned, that she, committing early as a junior, and a lot of people wait until they're senior. If in the softball world, you actually see a lot of your D1 commits are their junior year.
Hmm.
Uh, as of right now, there's just a little over 1,000 girls who have been committed to D1 schools for softball, verbal commits in the class of 2027. I don't know the numbers for lower divisions, but I do know that they're starting to rise rather quickly as well. So junior
Okay.
year is kind of a big year for softball.
Okay. Yeah. Especially I know with Division 1 schools, they close their recruiting classes a little bit earlier than Division 2s and JUCOs and NAIAs. So by the time the back end of junior year rolls around, they pretty much have everybody they want. Of course, you'll have your anomalies to where maybe a University of North Texas signs a girl mid senior year. It's not common as you're saying, but
Yeah.
definitely it's definitely better to go ahead and be proactive and see where you line up early. That way, when you only got 12 months left of high school softball, that way you're not scrambling, not stressing, and you already have a place in mind where okay, this is where I'm going to go for the next 4 years or so. So again, from a parent standpoint, deciding on a school, what were you telling your daughter to make sure she thought about when deciding on a school? What were some things you were telling her?
I told her to make sure that she liked where she was going to be. If she didn't like where she was going to be, then it wasn't the right spot for her. We also took into consideration finances. Is this something that we can afford if you don't get a scholarship?
Yeah.
If they just offer you a roster spot, because that's a possibility.
Yeah.
Um, that was kind of a big conversation. Is it was the money, but mostly I just wanted her to be happy with where she was choosing to go, because it's not my decision. It's hers. This is her
Yeah.
life. This is what she wants to do and where she wants to be. So as long as she was happy with it, then
Mhm.
her dad and I were supportive of that.
Okay. And when it came to sending out emails, making sure, I know Izzy, you mentioned earlier how sometimes it got kind of tough trying to remember you recorded things and stuff. So mom, when it came to making sure video got sent out, when it came to emails, when it came to narrowing lists down, were you having to like push her a little bit on that end?
Maybe just a little bit.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I definitely would remind her, hey, have you sent your emails? Have you posted your video? Especially ahead of a camp or a tournament, we would, it would be a reminder, hey, make sure you get that sent out. We want to make sure those coaches are able to know where you're at. Uh, I think my favorite quote from her though was after she committed, she goes, I am so glad I never have to hear you ask, did you send your emails?
Yeah, and I guess it all paid off though, right?
Yeah, I would just be watching a movie, living my best life, and I have to hear the word email or video all the time. It's
Yeah.
just it got very annoying, but I guess it was worth it.
Oh yeah. Hey, it all like I said, it all pays off in the end. Um, when it comes to, I know obviously you're committed now, but this is for uh people that just need a little bit more information. When it came to camps and stuff, Miss Lee, How did you decide which ones probably sounded a little bit more personal and which ones sounded more like money grabs?
Well, we kind of did it w- where it was she went to schools that or went to camps that had schools she was interested in. Um, if the school she was looking at wasn't going to be at that camp, we wouldn't go.
Yeah.
A lot of tournaments will have camps ahead of those. They're ahead of the showcases,
Mhm.
and they would have a list of colleges that would be in attendance and who would be helping coach. And if her target schools were there, then we would sign up for those camps. And then as she got to know some of the coaches, things kind of started moving a little bit. The ball started rolling a little bit more,
Yeah.
and that kind of guided where we would go from there.
So it
Uh,
sounds like you guys had a real thought out plan of, look, we're not just going to go to 10 camps per summer or fall. We're going to be real specific and make sure that the camps we're going to are schools that you would realistically go to. We're not just going to go to random showcases just to do them.
Yeah. We also
Yeah.
had, I mean, we had some people that were helping us as well.
Yeah.
Her coach, and we had a rep that we had hired who would tell us, hey, I don't know that this is the right camp for her. I think that she needs to, focus over here more, or, change direction and do this differently. This coach is really interested. They've reached out, maybe give them a look. So we had some help along the way as well. And I definitely would say that having some sort of an advocate to help you along with that process, whether that be
Yeah.
a coach or a paid rep, or somebody who gives lessons, whatever, just somebody who has those connections that can talk to those college coaches on her behalf
Oh
is
yeah.
definitely helpful.
You could
Oh
tell
yeah.
them about the unsubscribe thing on email.
Oh, yeah. You tell him.
So you can get a lot of emails that there'll be like, "Hey, come out of this camp. We really want you." But there's a lot of times where they just put you on a mailing list and you just think, "Oh, they actually want me," but they're really just trying to get people to pay more money and get people to just fill up the camp slots. But I think
Yep.
it's pretty easy to tell when it's for you and when it's not. There's like specific emails, especially before September 1st, it will tell you like, "Hi Izzy, we can't talk to you until September 1st of your junior year due to the NCAA rules." And then there's other ones that is just like, "Hey, come out to this," and then it will be like unsubscribe at the top, and then that's when you know you're on a mailing list, and they just keep sending it over and over.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a lot of money grabs out there, but
Mhm.
there's also camps where it's like a bunch of coaches in one, like the pre-showcase camps. And I think those are really effective because all the coaches are there. They all kind of talk about you to each other. And once like one coach is like, "Oh, hey Izzy," then the other one's like, "Oh, they know her name. Oh, I should go talk to her too." And it kind of just
Yeah.
like
Like a
domino effects.
yeah, trickle down effect. Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Well, and the deal with the emails, that can be said for this same thing for actual mail. I see a lot of girls, they'll post pictures of, oh, I got mail from such and such school. Well, that's great, but a 2030 who's posting that mail, that's not a personalized letter. That's just
Right.
their name was on a mailing list, and so they got
Uh-huh.
mailed a flyer and then this invitation to camp,
Yeah.
when it's just, hey, come fill up the camp and give us some money so that we can
Yeah.
make some scholarship money.
Yeah, and
Mhm.
I've gotten like duplicate mails, like it's the exact same mail, and it has my legal name Isabella Lee on it, and then it has Izzy Lee on it, and it's the exact same thing, and it's
Mhm.
just yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
You
They're
got to look for
trying
the
to.
personalization.
Yeah. And what are some key differences just in the wording that you guys have noticed, just from like something that's really personal and something that's like, okay, we don't know who you are, but we just want you to come down.
Well, I think the name thing for sure.
yeah,
Her legal name is Isabella, but
Right.
nobody except for maybe her grandparents call her Isabella. Everybody calls her Izzy. So when something shows up for Isabella, that's kind
Yeah.
of a red flag.
yeah. I've
Yeah.
advertised myself as Izzy Lee, like Google knows that. Like search up Izzy Lee softball. It's just Izzy Lee. Nobody knows Isabella. That's just
Mhm.
like legally, I guess.
Yeah. So when so Miss Lee, obviously throughout recruiting there's ups and downs. What was it like having to maybe watch some parts of recruiting that maybe weren't going her way, or maybe parts of a softball season that weren't going her way? Because obviously you can't necessarily do the things for her, but how were what are some ways you helped support even when things weren't going great? What were some things that kind of helped her maybe get through tough times in recruiting or just overall tough times on the field?
I think, I mean, I hope that this is the answer that she would give, but just being there,
Yeah.
and just supporting her regardless. I mean, there are times where if the game doesn't go well, and you just have to go say, "Hey, go get him next time." That's
Yeah.
not to say that there weren't times where I didn't go, "Hey, what were you doing? How come you didn't fix this or whatever?" But at the end of the day, I'm always there, and I'm always there to support her, and I'm her biggest fan. And whether she wins or loses, or gets a scholarship, or changes her mind tomorrow and says, "You know what, I don't want to do this anymore," you know, I'm going to support whatever she wants to do and whatever's going to make her happy.
Hmm. That's awesome. That's awesome right there. Nothing like a parent support, I tell you. So when she finally did commit, what were your feelings like?
Oh man, that was probably the most surreal moment, I think, that will ever stick with me. Probably. Um, we kind of had an idea that the offer was coming,
Yeah.
um, just based on how the visit was going. They were really trying to sell her on UNT. So I thought, the fact that they're selling her on the school and not, just, yeah, okay, well, this is the stuff. All right, well, thanks for coming by. I mean, they were really trying to sell her.
Yeah.
Um, and it really didn't take much to sell her.
Hmm.
She was pretty ready to go from the moment we stepped foot on campus. And but we were eating lunch, and when Coach said, "I'm gonna be real honest with you, I got an offer for you waiting back at the office. We just got to go over
Yeah.
the numbers."
Yeah.
And so we rode back to the office, and I said, "Well." I said, what are you thinking? And she's like, "Duh." So, they
Yeah.
offered, and everybody jumped up and was excited. And because I believe she's the very first recruit that these new coaches at the University of North Texas
Oh,
have
okay.
gotten themselves,
So
because
it's a new staff.
it's all new staff. This is their first year here.
Mm.
Um, all the other players that had been recruited were recruited by the old staff.
Okay.
So she's the very first recruit, I believe.
Okay. Okay. You pioneer in North Texas. I like that.
So there's definitely a lot of excitement. I think there was even some tears,
Yeah, there
Oh
was a
yeah.
lot of happy tears from
high fives.
coaches and everything. Like as soon as I said, "Yeah, this is where I want to be," everybody kind of just jumped up. Head coach was tearing up, giving me a hug. Everybody was giving me hugs. It was very
Mhm.
emotional.
A lot
Oh,
of
I
high
can understand.
fives, a lot of
Oh
hugs,
yeah. Oh yeah. I can understand it. That's a
a lot
big.
of pictures.
Hmm. Definitely, that's a big moment. Big, big, just turning point in your life. But obviously, all that stuff is well deserved. What advice would you give to parents that might be in similar shoes as you?
Encourage your kids to do this themselves. Take ownership of this process.
Mhm.
As hard as it is to add that extra work for them, I think it makes it that much sweeter knowing that they're the ones that did the work. And it shows coaches as well that they're capable of doing all of the work required once they get to school. If they can't take the time to send an email or post a Twitter post or an X post, excuse me, how are they going to find time to go to the gym and lift weights, or you know stop and say hi to a younger fan, or any number of things that might be required of them at the college level. So owning the process is such a huge thing for these athletes, and it's so hard for a lot of parents, even the ones that I'm friends with right now that are in the thick of it still, and they're sending the emails, they're making the posts, and I'm like, stop.
Yeah.
They can tell. Let them do it. It
Yeah,
doesn't
all
matter
the
if the
things.
grammar's off or if the punctuation isn't right or they didn't
Right.
capitalize a letter. They don't
Exactly.
care.
Exactly. It's all about just putting yourself out there the best way possible. Doesn't have to be perfect. Video doesn't have to be something on a crazy camera. It can be regular iPhone. You
Yep.
put the caption whatever you need and tag the coaches. It can be super simple.
Yep.
So backtracking just a little bit, was there ever any disagreement throughout the recruiting process? Like you wanted something done a certain way and she might want something done different. I know we talked about sometimes she would maybe just forget to post videos, but was there ever a time where y'all both might have wanted something done differently and y'all had to maybe compromise?
I don't, I don't think so. I don't remember anything.
Mhm.
I think we both knew like what was supposed to be done and like
Yeah.
how it was supposed to be done. I think we just kind of followed in our own way because,
Mhm.
especially with that book, like we knew what we were supposed to do, and then with like talking to coaches at camps, they like kind of taught
Yeah.
us what to do in the future, and I think we kind of just were able to communicate what we're supposed to do, and
Hmm.
yeah,
Well, and once again, it was I let her take ownership of
Right.
this process. So
Right.
I could guide her and give her direction and say, "Hey, we need to do X, Y, Z," and then she did X, Y, Z in her own way.
Yeah. So when it comes to Izzy's future, I know you're a junior, so you have another high school season to look forward to. You have, I assume, some more travel tournaments in your future. Just a lot more softball. Mom, what are you looking most forward to for not only the rest of her high school journey, but also jumping forward a little bit more her college journey?
I think I'm most looking forward to seeing her, really settle into who she is as a player. And I'm already seeing it now. Um, I mean, she's already phenomenal, and I think she's great, obviously. But here recently, I've seen a maturity when she's in the circle that the other players don't have, and I don't know where it came from, or why all of a sudden it showed up, but it's really fun to watch, and I can't wait to see more of that as she settles into who she is and really owns her own process and owns how she handles the circle.
Okay. Awesome. Awesome. That was tons of great information, great insight, and just real raw facts and information about everything recruiting, the highs, the lows, everything in between, what some parents may or may not know. And Izzy and Miss Lee, I appreciate you guys so much for getting on and just spreading that great wealth of knowledge for us today.
Well, thanks for having us. It was fun.
Of
yep.
course, of course. Remember, guys, recruiting does not have to be hard. At any point, check out Mili Llama for all of your recruiting needs and help. Once again, it was a great podcast, and we had a lot of good information. If you're watching, take notes because they're obviously doing this the right way, as the success from Izzy has shown and will continue to show. So I appreciate everybody who watched, and to the leads, thank you guys so much for coming on. Thank you.
Thank you.
Of course, of course.